welcome to Midweek. We're so glad that you guys are joining us here today. I got a question for you. Who loves shopping? Now, personally, I love shopping, especially clothes shopping. It's my thing. Online shopping, going to the mall, wherever. I love it. Now, whether you like shopping for clothes or not, we all have our favorite brands. Maybe you like Nike or Adidas or Under Armour or Polo, or you like wearing North Face or Lululemon or Hanes. Whatever it is, we have our favorite brands. And now these brands, they make great products. We love their clothes or their shoes. But what if I told you that these brands don't really try to sell you a physical product? Think about this for a second. Imagine an advertisement or a commercial for a clothing brand. They don't just show you pictures of shoes or clothes hanging on hangers or mannequins dressed up. No, they show you people in their product. Think of a Nike commercial. They've got celebrities and professional athletes or really healthy people that seem to have their whole life together wearing their brand. In most of their commercials, they're not even advertising for one specific thing, but they're trying to sell you their reputation and their brand. They say if you want to be like these celebrities, if you want to live like these professional athletes, if you want people to see you like you have your life together, you'll wear Nike. It doesn't matter what you buy, they don't care, as long as it has that swoosh on it. See, a lot of our favorite brands are selling us the reputation that we want. Now, our reputations are made up of a lot more than just the clothes that we wear. There's a lot of factors that play into it. Our actions, where we're from, what we're involved in, our friends, our family. And we know our reputation. We know ourselves better than anyone. We know what we've been through. We know the things that we've done, good and bad. We know our reputation, so we know that it hurts when people make assumptions about our reputation that's wrong. Especially when someone makes an assumption about our reputation based on someone that's like us. I mean, we make assumptions about people all the time. Assumptions like every rich kid is blank, or every white, black, Hispanic, Asian kid is blank. People that do TikTok dances are blank. People who don't do TikTok dances are blank. Football players are blank. Cheerleaders are blank. People who aren't from Texas are blank. People in a foreign country are blank. We may not say them out loud, but we fill in those blanks with our own assumptions and our own expectations. And these assumptions, they come from two places. One is our own experiences. Maybe we've had an experience with someone like them, and we use that experience to prejudge what a person like them is like. Or we hear what other people say about them without ever experiencing them by ourselves, and we make assumptions. For example, if you were bullied when you were little by a kid that liked to ride skateboards, and then you judge all skateboarders because of that one person, you let your experiences control your assumptions. And the second factor is our insecurities. Maybe you don't like someone because they have something you don't. Maybe they have the starting spot on the team, or maybe they got the role in the play that you wanted. Or maybe their parents are very wealthy and they get everything that they want. We think of someone as better than ourselves, and we hate them for it. And so we label people. We place reputations on people. We think we have them all figured out because of our limited experiences with them and our own unhealthy insecurities. And pretty soon we've created this image of someone based on our experiences and insecurities that is usually not right. And that is usually so far from the truth of who that person actually is. I want to talk about Jesus for a minute. Now, let me set the stage or set the scene. Now, Jesus is in this tense time between him and some religious leaders in Israel. Okay, these religious leaders and these Pharisees, they've created this brand for themselves of self-righteousness. And they think they're superior. They think they are better than everyone around them. And Jesus is going around hanging out with these people that they've labeled sinners. And they don't like it. It starts to heat up. Tension starts to rise. And so these religious leaders, they come to Jesus and they try to trip him up. They ask him questions in front of crowds, trying to get him to say something wrong so he'll lose his credibility. They want to try to make him seem like a phony. And in one of these encounters, these religious leaders had found this woman and caught her in the act of adultery. And they take her out of the house. They drag her in the middle of this crowd that Jesus was speaking to, and they drop her at Jesus' feet. And John 8:3-6 says this: As he was speaking, the teachers of religious law and the Pharisees brought a woman who had been caught in the act of adultery. They put her in front of the crowd. Teacher, they said to Jesus, this woman was caught in the act of adultery. The law of Moses says to stone her. What do you say? They were trying to trap him into saying something they could use against him. Now, this woman was guilty, caught in the act, drug out so everyone could see, and placed at Jesus' feet. And now Jesus has two options. He can ignore the law, just let her go free, and ruin his credibility, make the religious leaders and these Pharisees angry, or he could call the crowd to stone her and kill her, because that's what the law says. But he's been teaching to this crowd, and in that crowd, they would see that and think, wow, Jesus, I didn't think that was what you were all about. And so these religious leaders, they think they have him trapped. They think there's no way he can talk himself out of this one. We got him backed in a corner. We've got him. And then Jesus does something that's pretty funny. John 8:6-11 says, But Jesus stooped down and wrote in the dust with his finger. They kept demanding an answer, so he stood up again and said, All right, but let the one who has never sinned throw the first stone. Then he stooped down again and wrote in the dust. When the accusers heard this, they slipped away one by one, beginning with the oldest, until only Jesus was left in the middle of the crowd with the woman. Then Jesus stood up again and said to the woman, Where are your accusers? Didn't even one of them condemn you? No, Lord, she said. And Jesus said, Neither do I. Go and sin no more. What a power move. Like, can you imagine this situation? He's in front of this crowd, these religious leaders who are trying to trip him up, trying to make him look dumb. They're demanding answers from him. There's this poor woman laying in front of him, embarrassed and ashamed, lying in a ball. And then there's this crowd wondering what the person that's been teaching them is going to do. And in the middle of all this tension, he stoops down and starts just doodling in the dirt. That's pretty funny and a power move. He's in control in that situation. He has the words to say, and I think he was just taking a moment to gather himself and kind of laugh at him a little bit for this attempt at making him look dumb. But then he stands up and he looks these accusers in the eyes. And he says, You are so quick to point out the flaws in someone else. You are so quick to bring attention to their mistakes. But what about you? Are you innocent? Do you not carry any guilt with you? Have you not done anything wrong yourselves? I mean, puts them in their place. And they all leave. One by one. They drop their rocks, they got their tail tucked between their legs and their heads down, and they leave. And then Jesus bends down and picks up this poor woman who's cowering in fear, waiting for rocks to rain down on her. And he picks her up, and he says, I don't condemn you. You're forgiven. Walk away from here free. See, none of them were innocent. The woman wasn't innocent, and the crowd wasn't innocent. But both were free to go. Both had a reputation, but both were free to leave it behind. See, Jesus says that your future doesn't have to be dictated by your past. And then when I hear this story, I like to put myself in the shoes of the woman. I like to think, man, I was a sinner and I was deserving of death, but then Jesus saved me by his grace. I like to be that role. But on the other side, I can see myself in the Pharisees' shoes, because I know that I've made assumptions about people based on one encounter or based on a small experience. I know that I've been judgmental and prejudgmental. I know that I've made decisions based around what I thought about someone. I see myself in both roles. But Jesus gives both roles something to learn from here. See, the woman left there knowing that she was seen as someone more than her mistakes. Jesus saw past the ugliness, saw past the sin, saw past the brokenness, and saw a person that just needed his love. And she was able to walk away from there a new person. She had the choice to change her future regardless of what happened in the past. And the leaders, they get to experience love through humility and grace. The leaders laid down their rocks, found out what humility was all about, and learned to see someone for more than their mistakes, because we're full of them ourselves. Now, we live in a world today where there is racism. We live in a world today where there is sexism, where there is judgment, where there is too much value in material things, where there is belittling, where there is self-righteousness, where there is superiority. We live in that world today. And our world has been shaped by generations and generations before us. But now it's starting to be our turn to start molding. It's starting to be our turn to create a mindset of loving first. And that starts with us, and it starts with ridding ourselves of assumptions. And this world is full of them. I mean, think of assumptions that people have made. In 2019, a study by Frank Edwards, Hedwig Lee, and Michael Esposito showed that getting killed by police was the number one cause of death for black men aged 25 to 29. And that number was 2.5 times more than white males at that age. During World War II, Asian Americans were taken from their homes, placed in prisoners of war camps in America, locked away because of a war that they had nothing to do with. We label entire countries and everyone in them because of political views, religious beliefs. We label. We place reputations on people because of things that have happened in the past or things that are going on now. But we have a choice. See, when it comes to assumptions, we can let love fill in the blank. If we chose to love people the way Jesus loves us, with no exceptions, forgiving people of their wrongs by not letting the past define them, seeing past their labels, if we chose to love people like that, if we chose to love instead of judge, think of how we could impact this world. I mean, really, if we saw people as more than their reputations, knowing that none of us are perfect, all of us are broken, none of us deserve Jesus' love, None of us deserve salvation, but we receive it and we're offered it. Every one of us. And if we understand that we are all his children and are all in need of his love, if that's our mindset, then I think that we can choose loving first. If we know that people need Jesus' love, then we can let Jesus' love live through us. If we love like Jesus did, think of how we could change people. I mean, people would accept each other more. People would love themselves more because they know they're loved regardless of their flaws and their past. People would feel cared for. There would be no discrimination. Man, his love can change the world. And it's our role to let that love shine through us. Father, thank you. Thank you for your love. Thank you for helping us rid ourselves of assumptions. God, when we see someone, God, let us meet them with love. Let us forgive like you. Let us not keep records of wrongs, but love like you do. And see people the way you do. See people as people that need you. Regardless of beliefs or the things that they do or the things that they say, God. Let us truly view people as people in need of something that we can show them. Thank you for your love. Amen.
Hey guys, thanks so much for joining us today. Go ahead and check out our resources that we have for you online. Just as a reminder, we are putting our devotionals on social media every day for you. Please stay connected with your life group during this time. Your small group leaders are here for you. They want to hear from you. They've been doing Zoom calls and reaching out. And so stay connected with them. And if you are not in a small group but you want to be, let us know. Shoot us a message and we'll get you hooked up. You guys have a great week. See you next time.